Welcome back to Star Quality. I'm your host, Stevie, and it is a huge day, y'all. Pluto is moving into Aquarius for a hot minute solidly until 2043, but it will be in the sign of Aquarius till 2044. I'll go over the dates in a bit. And I'm actually recording while Pluto is still in Capricorn, and it is going to be switching over during this recording. So it's kind of a sweet treat to have this on record. And I actually want to read a tweet I saw earlier, even though, like, obviously Twitter's whatever, but I saw a tweet from, I believe they pronounced her name Michelle, at Libra Moon Gal. I'll put this in there. But I love this, reading this on this day, on this like really monumental astrological day, which was, it really does piss me off when people categorize astrology as mumbo jumbo. Meanwhile, it is at the root of all human knowledge. It is the first and largest data collection project of all time before math even existed. Humans looked up at the sky before they can even calculate anything. Facts. So that's how I feel recording while we're going to switch over, while Pluto's in Capricorn into Pluto in Aquarius. And I'm going pretty smarter, not harder here, which is maybe the Aquarian way and kind of the Capricorn way. They're both Saturnian signs, though Aquarius brings in the Uranus bent. So I'm going to read you guys your Pluto and Aquarius horoscopes. These are written per your rising sign. However, if you don't know your rising sign or you don't have the time, listen for your sun sign. I think I always check my sun sign and my rising sign, because even though they're written in terms of like the houses, it's still gonna, Pluto is still gonna impact your sun and the aspects of the sun regardless. So I think they're both are worth it. They're technically written for your rising, but do you, boo. So I wrote a Pluto in Aquarius article back in January 20th, 2024. So I put that out the second time Pluto had moved into Aquarius. So we've had a few ingresses, which if you don't know, ingress is an astrological term for when a sign enters another sign. You've probably heard the term cusp. Cusp is the edge of a sign crossing over, because just like in time, right? Like if someone was born at 11:59 p.m. on a Monday, you're like, cool, they were born on Monday. But if someone was born at midnight on Tuesday, you'd be like, okay, great, they're born on Tuesday. Like we do have lines in the sand of time, and that's how we determine which sign is what. So anyways, hopefully that made sense. But so that was, since we've had retrogrades, Pluto has danced back and forth between signs for some time. And I made a new graph. So in that old article, which I'll link, I put all the dates up until Pluto in Aquarius's final re-entry after the Capricorn series. But it does go into 2024. So I put an extra date in the new one, which is going to be in the show notes and in the article. So this is going to have all the Pluto in Aquarius dates, including the retrogrades and even a mention of Pluto in Pisces, which, we'll get to that when we get closer to 2043. I will be 55 then. Yeah, so that's interesting. So that's information. So that's time, which feels very Saturnian as well. But back in January of earlier this year, January 20th, 2024, I wrote a bunch of Pluto in Aquarius horoscopes. And I went back to look at this article since we're now back in Pluto in Aquarius times for good. Pluto in Capricorn is done. We will not see Pluto in Capricorn for 200 something years. So we won't, as humans, see it. But what's interesting is about our charts. Our charts could see that impact. We see movements, artistic movements, creative people, that their chart lives on after them. So even, this happens a lot when you see biopics are coming out of like a celebrity who's passed away. A lot of the times those biopics are coming in their posthumous Saturn return. So our blueprint of our chart lives on well after we pass, and then can be affected by the future of astrology even when we're not earthbound. And we'll be unfolding and uncovering Pluto and Aquarius themes as time goes on, and as this is our new era we are observing and reporting in. And I think it's worth taking a look back at that article and reading through, because I think a lot of these themes really ring true. It's not like things have changed that much since earlier this year, even though I think many of us would say, what do you mean? There was an election, there was this. It's like, but when you read it, when you get to the root of these things, the society, it's really not that different. And maybe it was because we've been hanging on the lingering edge of Pluto and Capricorn, and now things will be different. And I think there's a lot of positive different things that can come out. I mean, think about when Pluto was in Capricorn, 2008 to 2024. When you zoom out and go like, oh, what's 2008 to 2024? You wouldn't just say that was all bad or that was all good, because that's just not life. Life is really nuanced, especially I'm talking on a collective level. Personally, everyone's going to have variation depending on what's going on in their literal life and also what's going on in their literal chart. So anyways, this episode is going to be free for all. If you don't know, Star Quality is my publication, newsletter, and podcast. And there is a paid tier if you'd like to support my work. I appreciate it. I call that space the third space. It's $7.77 a month. Yes, I love angel numbers. And for the cost of buying me an iced coffee where I can tip the barista $1, you get your monthly, that's per month, but you get your weekly horoscopes, you get paywall content, and the more folks who support, the more stuff I can make, because, the more I'm supported, the more time I have, the more I can invest in it. So you help me, I help you. I love it. I love it. So let me just read to you. So these are written in the previous article, but I want to read these to you because maybe more context might come out of like why I came to these conclusions, or like why this forecast came to be. So again, these were written for rising signs, but you can, if you're like, this first one up is for Aries rising, but if you're an Aries sun, I wouldn't recommend it for the moon because I just wouldn't. But I guess if you're called, and I often do with horoscopes, I'll be like, let me read for my big three just because I'm nosy, and there's going to still be insights. And also if you want the message and it calls to you, then so mote it be. But let's start with Aries rising for a second, and where this Pluto horoscopes. Oh, and one more thing. These are written in like whole sign. So if you look at your natal chart, I use Placidus for like readings and stuff. But if you you might look at your chart and be like, wait, Pluto's actually here. It's like, yeah, because like Placidus is going to change a little bit. So these are written in a whole sign sort of house system, just because it makes it even and easy. And that's what we do typically that's what most people will do for horoscope writing. Okay, here we go. Aries and Aries rising. Aries rising, this is going to be in your 11th house space of friendship and community and the future. So here's your horoscope. Aries, you've been working so hard. Don't forget to stop and smell the roses. While you might be frustrated where you are after all this intensive labor, don't forget that the path isn't always visible at a given time. Give yourself some credit. The people, places, and experience you've encountered on this journey can come back into your orbit when you least expect it. So many elements of life can end up being nonlinear. You may become unrecognizable to some people from your past in recent years, and you do not owe them any explanation. Your trajectory is continuing to move towards reinvention and building your dream world. When in doubt, keep moving forward. So now I'm remembering when I wrote these. These are also written in terms of thinking about, the progression of Capricorn to Aquarius. So for Aries, we're getting relief from the 10th house and moving into the 11th house from these very public, visible spaces. So Aries is still really on this changing and altering of their public perception in a lot of ways. And I think this last many years of Capricorn energy has been a reinvention of public self. And now that you've gotten a clear understanding of who you are, you're moving even more in towards alignment. It's really exciting for Aries. I think this is like going to be, they're really building a road ahead of them that maybe was under construction for some time. Okay, next up is Taurus. Taurus and Taurus rising, written for the rising. So this is going to be happening now in Taurus rising's 10th house. So pretty freaking exciting. And was leaving their 9th. So Taurus, you've been marinating in creativity and mental exploration for a long time now. All of your research and observations are ready to be on full display. This is your moment to take all of the collective things that make you you and show the world exactly who you are. Harness your distinct voice. Claim your spot. You may find yourself thinking a lot about the legacy you're leaving on the world and in your craft. While this time period strongly encourages you to take things seriously, don't forget that you are still figuring out how you want to be remembered. What are the key words you want tied to your name? Return to your thesis. The things that seem unrelated are more connected than you think. Your audience is waiting for you, and not everyone has to like you. Oh, that's dangerous advice for a Taurus, but hey, they need it right now because what Aries was just going through, Taurus is now experiencing. And Taurus, especially since they're a fellow fixed sign like Aquarius, like Pluto, like this Pluto placement right now, they are really being pushed in an even more extreme way to just like not care too much what other people are thinking about them, especially because this is really tied with their public facing back to the public things, but also in career and legacy, which we find in the 10th house, and authority. You know, Taurus is throat chakra. And so distinguishing what makes you you, your taglines, your brand, your identity, your colors, your fonts, those things are like really big at this time for Taurus. And again, even if you're not maybe in a traditional creative field, like what is uniquely, distinctly you that no one else can take? Especially, you know, I say this phrase all the time, like you may have my recipe, but you can't replicate my sauce. So where are other, you know, there's always going to be swagger jackers and people who try to emulate, but they're not you. And so I think also too, those things that I mentioned, like the things that are more connected than you think, like you don't, I think a lot of people start doing jobs and they're like, oh, this is how you do it. And you should post it these times. And you should do this. It's like, you can also just like follow what you like and what makes you. And like Taurus has the best taste. Sorry, I'm biased. So tell people what you like, even if it's not what everyone else is liking. It's going to hit. Okay, Gemini. This is written for Gemini risings. Hello. Getting air activated by this Pluto Aquarius, but this is the horoscope for you. And this is going to be taking place in your 9th house. So this time period coming up could usher in a totally new era of thought. Maybe it's connecting with a new philosophy on life or spiritual rituals. You've been heavily influenced by the community of people around you, and while there's nothing wrong with that, you might want to spend this time forming your own school of thought. What do you believe in? Pluto is giving you a push to share what makes you special with the world, whether that be a published piece of work or documenting the process of your expertise. You might be called to further explore your passions in continued education, workshops, or mentorships. Find the people who are doing what you want to be doing and soak up everything they are offering to share with you. Yeah, I mean, 9th house is really like about the bigger vision and the bigger picture and forming similar, because the houses build off of each other and their themes. That 9th house is really forming, not just following someone else's cookbook, but making back to the sauce, making your own recipes. And the 9th house is related to publishing and sharing the message, and also connected to travel and mentorship. So finding those retreats, finding those spaces and places and people, especially for Gemini, that's so social connected, that are, you know, taking, you know, it's birds of a feather, right? If people are doing the things you want to be doing, like that's big info. And I've shared this quote all the time. An Aquarius friend of mine said, when I was telling her like, oh, I really want to own a house and do this, but none of my friends, and it's so expensive and blah. And she's like, you really got to hang out with more people who own houses. And it's not in like a total just climber way, right? It's just like sometimes you got to be in the energy and flow of people that are doing the things you want. And oh my God, y'all, it is 12:40 p.m. And that means that Pluto has officially, as I'm recording, Pluto has officially moved into Aquarius. The dawn of the age of Aquarius is here. Wow. All right. Bye-bye, Pluto and Capricorn. This is where I was recording these horoscopes for you, y'all. Mother truckers. What a moment. All right, let's do Cancer's horoscope. This is for their 8th house, written for Cancer rising. People have really been showing you their true colors over the years, and your tendency to make relationships last at all costs has shown not to be serving your highest self. Time is precious, and you're ready to fully invest in your future, whether on your own, solo mission, or with other folks who are equally invested as you are. Don't settle. This is the moment to not hold back and give it everything you got. Your ideas could translate into financially lucrative businesses, so find the avenues to foster your ingenuity. I don't read these words out loud. Ingenuity. Anyways, you get it. I'm a Cancer rising, so I can flub this a little bit. These coming years may also be the point in your life where you're ready to make long-lasting investments and commitments with the closest people in your life. Weigh all sides of the scenarios and make sure that wherever you're contributing is equally matched. So the 8th house is other people's investments and resources. And sometimes when we have 8th house transits that are feeling sticky or difficult, it's because we're giving too much to other people and they're not giving it back. When we have 8th house or 7th house transits, that is a request for other people to show up as much for us as we do for them. And if that has, Cancer risings have been having the 7th and 8th house, fuckery for these last, the 7th house with Pluto and Capricorn, but now 8th house with Aquarius, so that those themes are building. And so, this is great advice for me, but also I think great advice for anybody, but also specifically because this is for Cancers. Listen up. There's going to be things that look like work. I think this is actually a Chris Corsini quote. I'm remembering. There's things that look like work, but they're just busy work. And you know that. And that's even right now, I just follow my own fucking advice without realizing I'm reading the horoscopes I wrote in January because they hit now. And now I can give this verbal context to something that is feeling resonating now more than ever, halfway, way later in the year. I wrote these in January, but now dude, they still hit. And I'm loving giving this voice context to them. So anyways, that's the Cancer scope. Okay, this is for the Leos. Leo risings, this is your 7th house. Leos are preparing to enter an entirely new timeline. It's true. It's hitting the descendant. So that's, Leo risings are getting, and Aquarius risings too. We'll get to Aquarius risings, but Leo risings are really those two and the fixed signs. But these two, when we have the ascendant, descendant, but for Leo, this is the descendant. So Leos are preparing to enter an entirely new timeline, a different dimension. It seems like there has been so much turbulence under the surface for as long as you can remember. Now is the time to reintroduce yourself to the world. Your solar energy might have been at a low flame in order to protect your vitality, but now it's time to turn up the heat. In order to follow the flames of passion, it's time to say your final goodbyes to the routines, work grinds, and commitments that hold you back. Take off that unnecessary weight that's been strapped to your back. Pare it down. Lighten your load and make space for intimacy. It's time to let the people who are meant to find you see it all, and even the parts you might find unsavory. The years ahead could see you leveling up when it comes to partnering in love, business, and creative collaboration, so dive in headfirst with your heart open. Look, as a Cancer rising who has Pluto cross my descendant, not every person's going to experience this in their lifetime. You are going to know who fucks with you and who does not. And just, I think Leos think they're in charge of that a lot of the times, especially Leo risings. But this is just not a time to act from desperation or in dating. Well, I don't know if I'll ever find anyone. This is, because this is so centered in the relationship sector, which can be business, but I know a lot of you want to know about romance. So, if you have been edging these next big steps or big commitments, this is, they're going to get reevaluated in this time. And I think you're ready for it. You're ready to commit equally back to the 8th house themes with folks that love you just as much back. And also you don't have to be in, well, once I do this or once I get my job thing or once I do this, no. Just know that that's a no. You're ready. All right, let's give it up for the Virgos and the Virgo risings. This is going to be in your 6th house. So for Virgos, life moves pretty fast. How did I get here? You might ask yourself. The years to come have you putting your hands back on the steering wheel, and what you choose to do in the driver's seat is solely up to you. You might pump the brakes, make a U-turn, or accelerate fully forward on the track you're on. Priorities are shifting, so the approach will have to follow. Major changes when it comes to your day-to-day life indicate that you're ready to make the necessary adjustments to follow your self-made destiny. Discipline, parentheses, that's different than punishment, Virgo, will be your friend. And it's true, but the sixth house is our place of our day-to-day grind, our work, how we care for ourselves, our health, our routines. And Aquarius is the sign of reinvention. And I think Virgos are like, well, I do this and I do that. And like, that's why I'm here. And I think those things used to work. Now, you know, similar to Leo's, like there's like a reclaiming of your time and how you invest your energy, and also just like what's even like fun and worth it. Like Virgo risings, you know, like there is really a lot of like maintenance and caretaking for yourself and no one else, you know. I think, you know, this is all building towards that. So yeah, you know, instead of just zooming out and asking, how did I get here? You're going to be like, oh, because I did this, because I'm in charge, because this is like literally my life. Now let's take it over to Libras. So this is going to be happening in their fifth house for Libra risings. And here is your scope. Exploring your creative side is extremely important at this point in time, Libra. You had so many ideas bubbling inside you, but you may have gotten stuck on the best way to express your feelings. Looking to others might have you self-criticizing your ideas. Psst, they ain't you, babe. I wrote that. Expression is random as fuck, and past examples might not apply to you. Experimentation is the only way to find what mediums connect with you. Beware of, quote, sunk costs, fallacies on your quest for beauty, pleasure, and feeling so damn good. It is not a sunk cost if it's helping you discover who you are. Damn, that's actually pretty good advice for all of us out here. The fifth house is where we do find creativity and expression and art and creation and joy. And I think if Libra has also they've been having, you know, a wild time with the South Node and eclipses. If they've been feeling like they just don't even recognize themselves in terms of like who they are and what they do and how they express themselves, this is just so play around, fuck around and find out. Like, I think sometimes Libras, similar to, you know, building off the theme of Virgo, like just want to get it right on the first try a lot of the times. And I think Aquarius is encouraging those two signs, but all of us to like, that's not possible. Like think about Aquarius as the mad scientist, right? Like you don't run one experiment and go, cool, I figured that out. It's like, no, even with astrology, it's like, yeah, we're all collectively expressing and experimenting. So I think Libras really just need to like play it. Like they could have such a really great creative renaissance at this time. So yeah, get to it, Libras. Okay, this one's for Scorpios. In your fourth house for Scorpio risings, you might have been living in your head for as long as you can remember, and now you're ready to welcome in some physicality to your cerebral nature. You've put so much care into your ideas, but it's time to translate your thoughts into actions. You are ready to build long-lasting investments in your career, love life, and home space. This time period could be ripe for breaking ancestral patterns that were always taught to you as fact. You are showing up for your former self, and showing them a different way of living is more than possible. The more behind-the-scenes work you invest in, the better you will be equipped to put on a show. Don't skimp on yourself and ask more from others. So the fourth house and hitting the IC and the structural space of our chart, Scorpio risings are really going to benefit from putting themselves first and putting their, like in a similar fifth house sort of way, since we're building on those themes, like Scorpios. Here's the thing about Scorpio risings that people often forget. They usually have Leo midheavens. They are out and about. They are such stars, and they can really get dragged into other people's shit a lot of the time. But this right now is really asking for an examination of like, you know, like, oh, that's a beautiful house, but like, is like, what's it built on? You know, like what is it? What's the cost of these things? And yeah, like it's very like internal and hermity and deep. And I think this is only, again, going to like allow Scorpios to even be more free and expressive if they can just sort of like put into priority the things that they truly at their core need if they've been neglecting that. Because Scorpios can often neglect themselves for the sake of others. Okay, Sagittarius and Sagittarius risings. For the risings, this will be in your third house. Let's do it. Sagittarius, if you've have never explored shadow work, this time period will be right for connecting with the sides of you that you tend to hide away from or push down. Your inner child is calling. Pick up the landline inside your soul. The history of where you got your start holds a lot of potency for this next chapter, and taking a look at where you began could give you some clues on what you will be prioritizing for the future. It's like looking back at chapter 1. You could come back to a project you started a long time ago. You might be experiencing a lot of internal revelations, and communication will be your best friend during this time. Writing, journaling, singing, poetry, and art making are vessels of expression to get the buzzing in your mind out into the physical world. Sagittarius can tend to see the big picture, but this era is about you stepping up to the challenge of zooming in on the finer details. The more specific you are, the more universal your ideas become. So the third house is connected to our mind and communication and expression, not in like the total fifth house, like only art way, but art it can be a vessel of that expression. So I think Sagittarius is often are filled with ideas, whether you're sun or rising or any other Sag placements. And I think they can get overwhelmed of where to begin. And I think just beginning at the beginning in a, you have a story. Okay, well, what is the structure of a script or a book or a poem or whatever? So I think having back to the foundational things like Scorpio, like having a framework to express if you feel like you just get stuck and don't know where to go is going to be a big friend for Sagittarians. All right, Capricorns. No more Pluto in Capricorn for you, huh? This is going to be in your second house now after you've had first house things for motherfucking since 2008. Again, depending on your chart and Placidus and all that, but you know that by now. So this is written for Capricorn risings in regard to the second house. So Capricorn, it is time to collect your rewards, Seagoat. You have been you have been experiencing immense growth in recent times, and the expectations you have put on yourself have been wearing you down. It's time to focus on the simple things in life. This time period is excellent for figuring out your systems, especially regarding finances and self-preservation. My mom, I use this quote all the time, but hey, again, I'm a Taurus sun, these are my go-to quotes. My mom always joked things either take time or money, and hey, let's be real, sometimes things take both. There may be ebbs and flows in the coming years of which one you have more of, but remember these might also flow with what is happening in your life. You've had enough training in recent years to navigate both calm seas and choppy waters, but just remember, in the midst of all this, make space for the little things that remind you who you are. So the second house is connected to finances, but also like our resources. Hobbies kind of like can be split between second and fifth. But yeah, like these, Capricorn is like so smart and adaptable. And I think we're going to see, just like in any period of history, we're going to see so many ups and downs. And I think Capricorn just needs to know how to like steer that boat and accommodate for any sort of weather that comes their way, which they're really natural at doing. So, prepare for both feasts and famines, Capricorn. But we all are, but you are going to have to maybe learn some lessons in patience also around that. And oh my God, it's time for Aquarius, the star of the show. This is for Aquarius risings. This is your first house. Here you go. Your shoulders probably have been feeling a little lighter lately, but now it feels like there's a new hill to climb. The old ways of self-perseverance aren't hitting like they used to, and you're being asked to get back to basics. This is a do-you era beyond measure, and the stronger you are for yourself, the stronger you'll be for others when the time comes. Your future self is asking you to be radically independent. It may have felt like you've been out to drift, but you're back on land, finding your balance. It's time to go full steam ahead on your dreams. They might not have been the same dreams you had in recent years, and that's okay. The only person that can stop you right now is yourself. You will emerge from this time period as a fully changed individual, unlocking a new sense of power that everyone can't help but notice. You're in charge, and you're going to do great. So the first house is really the house related to us and no one else. So Pluto's been like lurking in their 12th house for a long time. And again, depends on your Placidus chart. It might still be there. But Pluto in Aquarius entering the first and, transforming the first house place of your body and self, again, can literally be your style and fashion and like how you want to present yourself. But then also too, in just a really like defining, you may want to change your name or change, I don't know, like if there's been this old story connected to you, like Aquarians are so great at evolving, and this is just going to be like extra turbocharged. And finally, Pisces, patient Pisces. This will be your 12th house for Pisces rising. You are a natural sharer, Pisces, and you have been sharing so much of yourself. You might be feeling called to go internal, but that scares you because you know that in the past when you've gone deep inside yourself, you fell into patterns of isolation. You fear that you're going to lose track of yourself. No one is going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. You're safe. Prioritizing alone time, travel to inspiring places, spiritual retreats, resets are going to make you unstoppable in the years to come. There are so many avenues you can go, and sometimes the best one is taking some time for stillness and reflection. You may end up shelving the excess noise so you can narrow in on one specific path or project. Don't worry, those shelved ideas will be there when you're ready. Yeah, and so with the 12th house for the Pisces rising people, you know, that is a really spiritual, unknown, subconscious zone. And so Pisces already sort of live in that space a lot of the time, but they're being asked to utilize it versus just be in it. And I think this is just like a really big opportunity for the Pisces rising people to like channel all that like tapped in universal knowledge into something that is always a tool that they can rely on and always something that they can go back to, and even something that maybe people might recognize in them as a gift that they have. It just might not be a clear time or experience. And again, this is a long time. Like all these horoscopes, this is like a long transit. So nothing's going to be like, oh, and this is all going to happen tomorrow, right? Like this is all unfolding. And it's also going to depend on the different transits that are happening year to year. You know, the Pluto and Aquarius aspects happening this year are going to be so different than 2040, for example. So take all of it with some granulars of salt, but don't forget it, you know, keep it in the back of your mind too, of like where this is impacting, where you are in many kind of Saturnian ways, transforming and maturing and elevating. And y'all are going to do so great. Okay. That's it. You know, read through that article. These are all written out there. Enjoy this new chapter. You will be great. We will be great. Aquarius energy is really cool. You know, like Aquarians are just cool. And don't forget, they are rebels. So like anything that sucks, God, now I'm thinking of like Civil War things. Anyways, anything that sucks, we will push back against. We will fight against. This is like a golden opportunity to fundamentally change everything that has been not operating as it should. And I think that's the thing, is like Capricorn energy can kind of, like a lot of earth signs, they can just power and push and punish their way through. And Aquarius, while it has the Saturn discipline, has the Uranian clownery and fuckery to be like, actually, we're done with that. Actually, like, why are we all just sheeps in the cog, in the machine, whatever. So I'm here for you. You're here for me. We're all here for each other. Sound off in the comments if you connect with your horoscope. Let me know how, you know, if you have any insights on Pluto and Capricorn and what the lessons that you might have learned during that time. I'm spaghetti_witch on all social platforms, and I am actively working on growing my TikTok. So I'd love to see you over there, spaghetti_witch. All the links will be in my show notes. Don't forget to subscribe, to comment, to like, to send this to a friend. All of your support means the world to me, and I will be here as time continues to unfold. Okay, bye-bye.